Revenge with Sela, my wife left me for her friends. Then saw what I discovered. A fateful meeting. I remember that day like it was yesterday. The sun was soft, golden, spilling through the tiny streets near my office. I was stopping at a small corner shop for water. My hands were calloused from the work I did every day, and my mind was tired, thinking about the next shipment I had to load at the warehouse. Then I saw her. Zelina. She was in line ahead of me, holding a small basket with bread and some milk. Her hair fell loosely around her shoulders, catching the sunlight. She turned, and our eyes met. I smiled, a little embarrassed, and to my surprise, she smiled back. It was the kind of smile that felt like a warm light in a dark room. Suddenly, the world seemed softer, easier. I didn't know her name yet, but I knew I had to meet her. "Hi," I said, nervously. She tilted her head, curiosity in her eyes. "Hi," she replied. That simple exchange started everything. We began talking outside the shop, just small conversations about the weather, the little things in life. But soon, the conversations grew longer. Soon, we were meeting after work. She laughed at my jokes, even the bad ones. I listened to her stories about her childhood, her dreams, the things she wanted to do someday. I had never felt so understood. By the end of the month, I realized it. I was falling in love. And I think, deep down, she felt the same. Falling in love. Love isn't sudden. At least, not the kind that lasts. It grows quietly, in small moments that seem unimportant to anyone else. I remember the first time I held her hand. We were walking along a small park near the city, the sun setting behind the trees. Her fingers were warm, her skin soft. My heart beat faster than I thought possible. "I like being with you," I said, trying to sound casual, though my chest felt like it would explode. She smiled. "I like being with you too," she said softly, and squeezed my hand. The days that followed were filled with little adventures. We didn't have much money, but we didn't care. We went to small cafes, walked in the rain, shared meals from street vendors. Every moment felt magical. I knew one thing for certain, I wanted her in my life forever. And I think she knew it too. A modest beginning. We didn't have a grand proposal. There were no expensive rings, no fancy dinners. I asked her, one quiet evening, if she would marry me. We were sitting on a worn-out bench by the river, Rivo not even born yet, just the two of us imagining our future. "Yes," she whispered, tears in her eyes, and that was enough. Our wedding was small. A tiny church with white walls and simple wooden benches. No big party, no expensive dresses. Just our families, a few friends, and love. When she held my hand and said, "I do," I believed it. I believed that nothing could ever break us. Building a home. After the wedding, we rented a small house. 1 bedroom, 1 kitchen, 1 bathroom. It wasn't much, but it was ours. I worked long hours at the warehouse. My hands were rough, my back ached, my body tired from lifting boxes and pallets all day. But I never complained. Every evening, I returned home to Zelina. She cooked simple meals, always smiling. She asked about my day. She listened when I talked. Soon, we had Rivo. I will never forget holding him for the first time. He was small, fragile, yet perfect in every way. I promised myself, whispered into the quiet of that hospital room, "I will protect you, Rivo. I will never fail you." Zelina was radiant with happiness. I thought we were complete. I thought we were safe. But the first cracks had already begun. The first signs of change. Rivo was 3 when I first noticed it. Zelina had joined a women's group. They met every weekend, dressed well, took pictures, went to cafes. At first, I thought it was good. Everyone needs friends, right? I said nothing, smiled, and let her enjoy herself. But slowly, things changed. She began staying out later. She came home tired, barely speaking. She stopped cooking sometimes. Her phone was always in her hand. When I tried to talk, she would snap, "You're too controlling, Elvin." Her friends whispered in her ear, "You deserve better. You married too early. You can do more." I didn't notice at first. I thought it was a phase, that our love would weather it. But the warning signs were there. I just didn't see them. The first fight. One night, I came home late. Work had been brutal. My boss had yelled at me. My salary was delayed. I was exhausted, hungry, hoping for comfort at home. The house was empty. Rivo was asleep. Zelina was not there. I called her. No answer. I called again. Still nothing. At 11 p.m., she returned. Laughing. With her friends. "Where were you?" I asked, my voice tight. "With my girls." "Relax," she replied, rolling her eyes. "You didn't cook." "I'm hungry," I said. "Am I your maid?" she shouted. That night, we slept apart. Facing opposite walls. Rivo didn't understand, and neither did I. For the first time, I felt the fragile shell of our life cracking. The friends move in. Zelina's friends didn't just stay out late, they started appearing at our house, uninvited. At first, I tried to be polite. "Hello," I said as they came in laughing and chatting, carrying takeout boxes. But soon, they began telling Zelina what to wear, how to cook, who she should talk to. I suggested small things about the house, like fixing the leaky tap, but she shrugged. "Why do you spend so much time with him?" one friend whispered. "You could have so much more," said another, laughing. Zelina listened. She nodded. She laughed at my ideas and ignored me. Every day, I felt smaller, like I didn't exist. The house I built, the family I loved, was slipping away. The warning signs. It started with her phone. She protected it as if it were a treasure. If I came near, she turned it away. If I asked, "Who are you texting?" she snapped, "Mind your business." One night, her phone buzzed while she was in the bathroom. I saw the name, Leora Redheart, her best friend. The message. "Don't worry. Leave him soon. We'll help you." My chest tightened. Leave me? Help her? My mind spun with fear and confusion. I tried to sleep that night, but the words replayed endlessly in my head. I realized then, I was losing her. Slowly, quietly, to her friends. Rivo notices. Rivo was growing up fast. Even at 4, he noticed tension in the air. One evening, Zelina and her friends were laughing in the kitchen, loud and carefree. Rivo tugged my sleeve. "Daddy, why does mommy always yell at you?" I hugged him tight. My heart ached. "Sometimes, people forget what's important," I said softly. He nodded and ran back to play, but the words stayed with me. How could I protect my son from this? How could I keep our family together when one part of it was already slipping away? Elvin feels trapped. Her friends began to control every decision. They laughed about my efforts, dismissed my hard work, and told her I was holding her back. One night, I overheard them whispering in the living room. "Leave him. He's holding you back. Trust us, you'll be happier without him." I wanted to scream, to shout, to run, but I stayed silent. I couldn't risk making things worse for Rivo. The house felt smaller each day. The love I thought was ours was now being drowned out by laughter I didn't belong to. Elvin breaks down. Weeks passed, and the weight grew heavier. One night, the house was full of friends. Music, laughter, chatter, they ignored me. They ignored Rivo. I tried to join the conversation, tried to talk about our day, but Zelina laughed. "Why are you always so serious?" she asked, mockingly. I went to our bedroom, shut the door, and held Rivo in my arms. Tears rolled down my face. I whispered, "I don't know how to fix this." I felt like a stranger in my own home, a ghost haunting the life I had built. The final argument before the fall. The next evening, I confronted Zelina. I couldn't hold it in anymore. "Zelina, your friends control everything. Our home, our son, everything we built is slipping away." She looked at me with cold, detached eyes. "They're helping me, Elvin. You're holding me back," she said. I felt anger, pain, disbelief all at once. "I gave you everything. I worked day and night for this family. And you want to throw it away for them?" She laughed and walked out. That night, she went out with her friends again. I stayed behind, Rivo asleep in my arms, feeling the first real crack in our family's foundation. The shocking discovery. It was a quiet night. Rivo had already fallen asleep, curled up like a little ball in his bed. I thought I could rest too, maybe forget for a few hours the weight pressing on my chest. But then, her phone rang. Zelina had left it on the kitchen counter while she showered. Curiosity, fear, and a sliver of hope made me look. I didn't want to, but I had to know. The screen lit up. The message was from Leora. "It's time. Leave him. Don't worry, we've got you." My hands trembled. "Leave me? Leave our son?" I stared at the words for minutes, heart pounding, mind racing. The woman I had loved, trusted, and built a life with, was planning to abandon us. I knew then that nothing would ever be the same. Rivo senses the tension. Rivo was too young to fully understand, but children notice everything. The next morning, while Zelina was talking and laughing with her friends in the kitchen, Rivo tugged at my shirt. "Daddy, why does Mommy always look angry with you?" I swallowed my pain. "Sometimes, people forget what's important, Rivo. But we always have each other." He smiled faintly, but I could see the confusion in his little eyes. My heart ached. I realized something, I had to be strong, not just for me, but for him. Elvin starts to isolate. I began to keep to myself. No more arguing. No more pleading. I stopped trying to talk to Zelina. I stopped trying to get her to listen. Instead, I focused on Rivo. We played games, read stories, and laughed together in the small moments that were ours alone. The more I focused on him, the more I noticed the cracks in Zelina's facade. She started noticing the changes too, my calm, my focus, my refusal to engage in petty fights. Her friends were frustrated. They whispered constantly. "Why is he still standing? We told you he would break." Little did they know, the strongest part of me had only just begun to grow. The friends' plan uncovered. One day, as Zelina's friends were leaving in a hurry, a small bag fell from the car. I noticed letters spilling onto the driveway. I picked them up. Inside were detailed plans, how to separate me from Rivo, how to convince Zelina that she was better off without me, how to manipulate my every decision. They had been lying to her all along. Every word she had believed about me being controlling or holding her back was planted by them. I didn't destroy the notes. I read every single word, memorized every manipulation, every lie. Finally, I had proof. The first step of comeback. With the notes in hand, I realized something important: knowledge is power. I began planning quietly. I would not confront Zelina or her friends impulsively. I would rebuild my strength first. I started waking up earlier, working harder, saving every penny. I repaired small things around the house, fixed broken furniture, helped neighbors with repairs. Small jobs became a source of pride and extra income. Rivo noticed. He smiled more, laughed more, and I felt a flicker of hope. For the first time in weeks, I felt alive. Zelina's friends start to slip. Zelina began to notice. I was calm. I was confident. I ignored her attempts to draw me into arguments or make me jealous. Her friends, who had once laughed at my struggles, now looked tense and frustrated. I could see their influence slipping. One day, Leora returned to the house, trying to intimidate me. "You can't stop what's coming," she said, her voice sharp. I smiled and calmly placed the letters on the table in front of her. Her face went pale. How did you get these?" I didn't answer. She left quietly, and for the first time, Zelina had to see the truth for herself. The breaking point. I remember that night clearly. Rivo had fallen asleep in his small bed, clutching his favorite stuffed toy. I sat alone on the couch, staring at the empty living room. The laughter of Zelina and her friends echoed faintly from her phone, still in the other room. I felt a crushing weight on my chest. "Daddy, Mommy doesn't love us?" Rivo's tiny voice broke me. I hugged him close, trying to hold back tears. I wanted to protect him, shield him from the truth that was already too heavy for him. I realized then, I couldn't save Zelina. I couldn't control her friends. I could only control myself. A spark ignited inside me, a small flame of resolve. I would rise again, for Rivo, for myself. This was my breaking point, and from it, I would build strength. Focusing on self. The following days were quiet but deliberate. I started waking up earlier than ever. I worked harder at the warehouse, completing tasks faster, learning small skills to improve efficiency. I fixed broken things around the house, from doors to leaky taps. I took pride in my work. Rivo noticed. He smiled more, laughed more, ran to me with energy and joy I hadn't seen in weeks. Zelina, on the other hand, began noticing my calm. She tried to provoke me with small comments. "Still working like a slave," she said one evening, sneering. I didn't answer. I smiled faintly, because I had begun to understand something powerful. Their words no longer controlled me. Hidden talents revealed. One afternoon, while helping Rivo with a broken chair, I realized something. I had always been good with my hands, fixing things, repairing, making small improvements, but I had never used it as more than a necessity. I began helping neighbors, friends, and acquaintances with small repairs. A few coins here, a little gratitude there. But slowly, it added up. Zelina noticed. She whispered to her friends, frustrated. "Why is he suddenly working so much?" Her friends were losing control. Their grip on her influence was weakening. I felt hope growing. I wasn't just surviving anymore, I was preparing. Preparing to reclaim my life, my dignity, and my family. Zelina's friends exposed. The turning point came when Leora returned unexpectedly. She tried to intimidate me, her voice sharp. "You can't stop what's coming." I calmly placed the letters, the notes, and the evidence of their manipulations on the table. Her face went pale. She stuttered. How did you get these?" I didn't answer. I let her leave quietly. Zelina, watching from the doorway, saw everything. The lies, the manipulations, the hidden agenda. Her friends were not protecting her, they were using her. For the first time, she felt the fear of betrayal. And I knew then, the tide was turning. Rebuilding from the ground up. Life did not change overnight. But every day, I became stronger. Every morning, I woke up before sunrise. I prayed quietly. I stretched my tired body. I prepared Rivo's breakfast. Then I went to work. At the warehouse, my boss noticed. "Elvin," he said one day, "you're working harder than everyone." I nodded. I have a family to protect. Soon, he trusted me more. He gave me extra shifts. Better responsibilities. Small bonuses. After work, I repaired chairs, fans, radios. Neighbors began recommending me. "Call Elvin. He fixes everything." Slowly, money started growing. Not big money. Honest money. Money built with sweat. And more important than money, I was building confidence. A father and his son. Rivo became my strength. Every evening, we sat together. We did homework. We told stories. We laughed. One night, he asked, "Daddy, are you happy now?" I looked at him. "I'm learning to be." He hugged me tightly. That hug healed wounds no medicine could. I realized something. Even if I lost my wife, I would never lose my son. And that was victory. Zelina's regret begins. Zelina was changing. Her friends came less. They called less. They stopped visiting. When they came, they were cold. Distant. Suspicious. One day, I heard her crying in the bathroom. Quiet tears. Hidden pain. That night, she tried to talk. "Elvin. I think I made mistakes." I kept silent. She continued. "My friends, they lied to me." I nodded. "I know." She froze. "You knew?" "Yes. For a long time." She sat down. Her voice broke. "Why didn't you tell me?" I replied softly. "You wouldn't listen." That truth hurt more than shouting. The final karma. Months passed. I saved enough money to rent a better place. Not big. But clean. Peaceful. I prepared papers. Legal advice. Protection for Rivo. One evening, I called Zelina to sit. "We need to talk." She looked nervous. "I am moving with Rivo." Her eyes widened. "What?" "I'm not taking him away. You can see him. Visit him. Be his mother. But I won't let him grow in chaos." She cried. "I've changed." I answered. Change takes time. Trust takes longer. Her friends? They disappeared. They moved on. Found new victims. New people to manipulate. Zelina was left alone. With her regret. With her choices. With her consequences. A new beginning. In our new home, life was peaceful. No shouting. No gossip. No manipulation. Just me and Rivo. We cooked together. We cleaned together. We dreamed together. I enrolled him in a better school. I opened a small repair shop. A sign outside read, "Elvin repairs honest work." People trusted me. Because I trusted myself. Forgiveness, not weakness. One day, Zelina visited. She looked different. Quieter. Humbler. "I'm sorry," she said. Not dramatic. Not loud. Just honest. I looked at her. "I forgive you." She cried. "Will you come back?" I shook my head. "No. I forgive you. But I won't return to pain." She understood. That was her final lesson. The true victory. Years later. Rivo stood on a school stage. Receiving an award. He looked at me. Smiled. That smile was my reward. Not money. Not status. Not revenge. Love. Respect. Peace. That was my victory. The final message. They say love is like fire. If you care for it, it warms your home. If you ignore it, it burns your heart. Zelina chose her friends. She lost her family. I chose my son. I gained my future. And that is my story. Like, share and subscribe for more touching story.